Possession is temporary, but a clean sheet is forever. Modern football is obsessed with the beautiful game, with tiki-taka, high lines, and artistic possession. Diego Cholo Simeone chose a different path. He chose haramball. For over a decade, Simeone has been the black-suited villain of the touchline. To his critics, he is the king of haramball, a brand of football so defensive, so gritty, and so unapologetically ugly that it feels like a crime against the sport. But while the world complains about the bus he parks, Simeone is busy building a fortress that refuses to fall. Today, he's in yet another Champions League semi-final, only Spanish team ahead of Barcelona and Real Madrid. Not by playing the game, but by breaking it. Our story starts in 1974, the European Cup final, what we now call the UEFA Champions League. Atletico Madrid versus Bayern Munich. Extra time, 114th minute. Luis Aragonés scores. Atletico are seconds away from immortality. And then everything collapses. 120th minute. Last seconds. Hans-Georg Schwarzenbeck hits a 40-yard shot. Equalizer. But the real story isn't just the goal. It's what happened seconds before it. Atletico's goalkeeper, Miguel Reyna, had already taken off his glove, handed them to a photographer. The game was over in his mind. Victory was certain. There were no penalties back then. The final went to a replay. And in that replay, Bayern didn't just win, they erased Atletico. 4-0. Gerd Müller and Uli Hoeneß tore them apart. That night, Atletico Madrid didn't just lose a final. They gained an identity. El Pupas. The Cursed Ones. Now fast forward 22 years, 1996. A young, aggressive midfielder arrives at Atletico Madrid. Diego Simeone. Not the most talented. Not the most elegant. But relentless. That season, Atletico win La Liga. Against all odds, the fans fall in love with him. But football moves fast. In 1997, he leaves for Inter Milan. And Atletico? They begin to fall apart. By 2000, while the world celebrates a new millennium, Atletico Madrid are relegated. Relegation doesn't just take points away. It takes identity. It took them 3 years to come back. 2003. They return to La Liga. And then something unexpected happens. Simeone comes back. Not in his prime. Not as a superstar. But as someone who understands what this club means. He plays 2 more seasons. Stabilizes the team. Reconnects with the fans. Years later, he retires. Simeone came back as manager in December 2011. At that point, Atletico were sitting 9th in La Liga. Not in some terrible crisis, but just kind of floating. A club that had quietly made peace with being average. Within a year and a half, he had won the Europa League and the Copa del Rey. And within 3 years, he had done something that most people in football genuinely believed was not possible anymore. He took Atletico Madrid to a Champions League final. Not as some happy underdog just glad to be there. As the champions of Spain. As a team that had finished above both Real Madrid and Barcelona that same season. Then the final happened. Lisbon 2014. Atletico were leading Real Madrid in the Champions League final all the way until the 93rd minute. Think about that. 93 minutes of holding on, fighting, defending, absorbing everything Real Madrid threw at them. Diego Godin scored with a header, and the Atletico fans could barely believe what they were watching. Then Sergio Ramos headed in a corner in stoppage time, and just like that the moment was gone. Real Madrid won 4-1 in extra time. One of the most painful scorelines you will ever see given what came before it. But here is the thing nobody really wanted to sit with for too long. For 93 minutes, a team with a fraction of Real Madrid's budget had been the better side in a Champions League final. Against the most successful club in the history of the competition. A different kind of person might have looked at that and called it remarkable. Instead, the headlines were full of words like negative and cynical and anti-football. The style became the story. The achievement got pushed to the side. So Simeone came back 2 years later and did it again. Milan 2016. Second final. Same opponent. Same horrible ending. A penalty shootout after Atletico had led and fought and believed, and then watched it slip away one more time. 2 Champions League finals in 3 years. 2 losses. Both against Real Madrid. Both heartbreakingly close. Any other manager carrying that kind of result would have been buried by the story around it. The nearly man. The coach who just cannot get over the line. Simeone ignored all of it. He stayed at the club. He rebuilt from scratch. He lost Griezmann to Barcelona. He lost Diego Costa. He lost basically the whole generation of players who had grown up inside his system. He had to build a new Atletico using completely different people while keeping the same idea alive. Most managers in that situation take a bigger job somewhere else. The offers were definitely there. He signed a new contract instead. Now here is where this has to be honest for a moment. Because the people criticizing Simeone are not making everything up. Atletico under Simeone have fouled more, picked up more yellow cards, and wasted more time than most clubs at this level. Some of what is in his tactical plan is genuinely cynical, and it deserves to be called that. The way he behaves on the touchline has sometimes gone past passion into something more calculated. Nobody is pretending that part does not exist. But the same people shouting about haramball never seem to get equally upset about a rich club that just passes the ball sideways for 70 minutes with no real intention of scoring. They never question the spirit of the game when a club simply buys their way to a trophy because they can afford to spend what smaller clubs cannot dream of. The outrage in football is almost never aimed equally at everyone. What really bothers people about Simeone is something deeper than the football itself. He wins with a club that is not supposed to win at this level. Football has a pecking order based on money and history and global reputation. Simeone just does not care about that order. He walks right up to it and starts a fight. And that makes people deeply uncomfortable in a way they sometimes dress up as concern about the game. Just look at what he has actually produced over 14 years. 13 straight top 4 finishes in La Liga. 2 league titles against clubs with wage bills that make Atletico look like a small business. The 2013-14 title won on the last day of the season at the Camp Nou, which is one of the most dramatic things that has happened in Spanish football in the last 20 years. Europa League titles, domestic cups, and right now in this current season, Atletico Madrid are in the Champions League semi-finals again. Most managers leave a club, and within 2 or 3 years, you cannot really feel them there anymore. A new coach comes in, changes the system, and that previous era fades into the background. Simeone has been here 14 years and the club still runs on the philosophy he installed when they were 9th in the table with no clear identity. That does not happen by accident. The statistics are a lie when it comes to Cholo. If you look at possession, Atletico loses every game. If you look at fun, they are a disaster. But if you look at the scoreboard, they are inevitable. In the 2023-24 season, the narrative was that Simeone was finished. The old guard was gone. Yet, here they are again. Back in the Champions League semifinals. Why doesn't he change? Simeone's greatest trick isn't a tactical formation. It's the psychological grip he has on his players. When a player puts on that striped shirt, they stop being a footballer and start being a soldier. He protects them like a father. When the media calls his football anti-sport, he smiles. He knows that every minute his opponent spends complaining about his style is a minute they aren't focused on his defense. So the question here arises, why does Atletico Madrid still trust Simeone? He's one of the highest paid managers in football, and the expectations are different. So why not move on? Because numbers don't explain this story, and tactics don't explain this story. This is something else. While other managers build teams, Diego Simeone built an identity. He gave them his youth, his prime, his decline, his entire managerial career. And something even more rare, he gave them his family. He gave them his son. Giuliano Simeone is a rising footballer, part of the same journey, the same badge, the same story. This is not loyalty in football terms. This is legacy. So when outsiders say, Atletico should move on, they're not wrong logically, but they're completely missing the point. Because Atletico Madrid is not just a club trying to win, it's a story trying to complete itself. And Diego Simeone is not just a manager. Some clubs chase trophies, others build something that trophies can't measure. And maybe, just maybe, that's why the curse still hasn't broken.